Hey everybody, real quick, I just want to say we are going to be talking about the series finale of Bojack Horseman in depth, so it goes without saying there is going to be a ton of heavy spoilers ahead, just a forewarning. Alright, let's get to the video. Welcome back to the Roundtable, I'm Nemo, and guys, I think we all need some time to process that Bojack Horseman series finale. I honestly don't know how to feel. It was sad and tragic, but also incredibly hopeful, and most of all, it was underwhelming in a way that seemed entirely intentional. I mean, the last shot was literally Bojack and Diane sitting in awkward silence, but somehow that perfectly wrapped up the entire series, so I just gotta give it to the whole Bojack team. But with the entire series and events of Bojack Horseman behind us, and with the show finally coming to a conclusion, it's time to ask that age-old question, what happens next? We'll never get a real true answer unless there's some sort of horrible Bojack Horseman reboot that I really hope we never see somewhere down the line. As for now, this is the end of these characters' stories, and if we want to know what happens next, we're gonna have to speculate. And if you like speculating, ooh, you're on the right channel, let me just tell you. So guys, let's take a look at all of the characters in Bojack and figure out what's going to happen after the series. Before we get to the main characters of the series, I want to talk about one of the side characters who played a pretty important role in the show.
My name is Hawke, Mannheim, Guerrero, Robinson, Zilberschlag, Sung, Fonzarelli, McQuack.
Hawke, the girl who at one time was thought to be Bojack's daughter and later turned out to be his half-sister, somebody that Bojack had a pretty great relationship with until the season 6A finale. Unfortunately, after finding out about what happened with Bojack that night in New Mexico, Hawke tried to cut him out of her life, realizing that he wasn't the best person. The two had grown apart, and by the end of the series, it really wasn't much better. The most closure we got in this situation was a letter that she sent to Bojack, a letter that we never got to read. Although it is frustrating to not have closure for this whole arc or anything, we can make some assumptions. Hawke has a good head on her shoulders, and she was thriving at college. The last we saw of her, she was giving up sports to pursue her studies, which shows that she's still academically driven, and I'm sure she's going to be incredibly successful in life in whatever she does. She'll probably graduate and lead a semi-normal life, have kids of her own, all of that stuff, settle down, and hopefully she'll rekindle things with Bojack when he's in a better place, but again, that's really up to her. Hawke is one of the few Bojack characters that I know is going to be fine.
I'm here for you, buddy, unless I see my good friend Erica and get distracted by some noteworthy aspect of her character or presentation.
Let's talk about the other success story from the show. Mr. Peanut Butter's positivity has gotten him pretty far in life, and by the end of Bojack, he's in the best place he's literally ever been. His career is at an all-time high. He has his show Birthday Dad, which is a huge, massive hit, despite being super ambiguous and confusing. In fact, it's gotten him more fame than even his original sitcom, Mr. Peanut Butter's House, solidifying Mr. Peanut Butter as a huge actor icon, and an incredible Hollywood success story now turned Hollywoob thanks to Mr. Peanut Butter himself. He's rich, he's living his best life. We see him here dipping a bone in wine, like good for that guy. I don't think Mr. Peanut Butter is going to change that much. I think he's just going to continue being successful until he probably one day retires. I see him as just like a Paul Rudd type, universally loved by all, he's continuing to find success, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But what about his classic sidekick?
Because my boss has made it very clear that if we let him down, he will, quote, eat my ass for dinner.
Well, Todd's had the best transformation, arguably, out of anyone on Bojack. I mean, he finally got his life on track. When the show started, he was literally living with Bojack Horseman after they met at a party, and despite his Todd shenanigans, he did not have anything to his name. But that is not how we left him. He's in a successful relationship with Maud, the sweet Cinnabon bunny girl, and he's finally comfortable with his asexuality and living his best life. Not to mention the fact that he's finally living on his own, and he's no longer dependent on anybody else, and he's even killing it in the family game after patching things up with his mom. He and Maud are the head of a nanny service that's really successful, and in the final episode when he talks to Bojack on the beach, he just seems to be his best self. I mean, he's looking sharp in that red suit. That being said, he has cut Bojack out of his life, and I think that's a big reason. As sad as it is to say, the second Bojack left his life, that's when he really needed to figure himself out, and he really started to, and look where it got him. I can see Todd continuing to have a successful relationship with Maud as he continues to get his life on track and just finds more and more success. I mean, with his crazy Todd ideas and his crazy luck that's gotten him into some pretty incredible situations, he's bound to go somewhere. I can see Todd totally becoming a CEO Steve Jobs type just for all of his crazy ideas, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to find success.
Marvelous. Judah, prepare the press release. Portnoy finds joy in hoi polloi boy toy.
Princess Caroline is my favorite success story on Bojack, mostly because she finally got the happiness that she deserved, and she got it by working super hard, which is what she always did. In season 6, we finally get to see her figure out her work-life balance, and by the end of the series, she did something I never expected and successfully married Judah, which in all honesty is a match made in heaven. The two of them are continuing to work together, getting farther than they've ever been on their own, even networking at their own wedding, which is pretty great. She'll continue to be a great mother and a great wife, maybe even having another kid with Judah somewhere down the line. line, and her career is going better than it's ever been, with her getting the opportunity to pitch an entire studio. Whatever happens with that will happen, but at the very least it's a testament to how good Princess Caroline is at her job, and honestly, she deserved it the most. As for her relationship with Bojack, it's not clear whether or not she'll continue to represent him in the future, as she seemed pretty iffy about it at her wedding, but it seems as though they'll stay in each other's lives in some capacity. I mean, they always have before, and with Bojack only getting better, hopefully their relationship will only continue to improve.
You know, sometimes I feel like our marriage is like a magic eye poster.
I love those things.
I know, but I'm so tired of squinting.
Diane is probably the saddest part of the Bojack ending. Her life ends up being pretty great. She's finally in a happy relationship, marrying Guy and living with him in Texas. She even worked incredibly hard to be on good terms with Guy's son, who ended up opening up with her towards the end of the season. And she admits to finally being happy with him, even if she'll never understand what it means to be truly happy. And I think that's the most she's gonna get, and honestly, the best that she could. She's also finally a successful writer, sort of settling and sort of just being okay with writing a middle school book series, which turned out to be pretty dang successful. I mean, we see her doing some book signings towards the end of the season, and when she talks to Bojack at the wedding, that's what she brings up as her job, so you can only imagine it's going to continue growing. Diane being a Jeff Kinney type is something I did not see coming, but something I fully embrace, no matter where it takes her. She's also on medication now and figuring it out, and she says she smiles more, so despite the negatives, the good and the bad, she seems to be happier. And even though, like I said, she hasn't learned to trust the happiness exactly, she trusts her husband, and I think for Diane, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. I can see her and Guy having a kid someday down the line, but she's going to probably leave a pretty reclusive life, no longer living in LA or chasing anything big, and just settling for being happy with the person that makes her happy. She might even be able to finish her memoir one day now that she's in a better place, and maybe it'll turn out to be a better version of the memoir she tried to write originally. The series sadly alluded to the fact that her and Bojack are probably no longer going to talk to each other, as their relationship got pretty toxic towards the end, and even if Bojack learns to change or grow, it's probably too late. But the things they did for each other and the way they changed each other is something that probably improved both their lives. And I think that's why we sit with them at the end of the series, because the show in the end was really about their relationship all along. And what Diane said about needing some people, even if they weren't meant to be in each other's lives forever, is super true here. Either way, there's no doubt in my mind that Diane is doing better now than she's ever been.
I'm sorry. Okay. I don't forgive you. Herb, I said I'm sorry. Yeah. And I do not forgive you.
This one is the hardest to say. We've seen Bojack go through so much in this series. Ups and downs and really high and then really high on drugs. And then he fails again and screws everything up and goes on a bender and almost dies in the pool and then he's in prison. If you were to sit me down and be like, Nemo, what is happening to Bojack after the series? I really would be like, I have no idea. I mean, the fake out death was crazy enough. I really thought they were going to kill off Bojack and they didn't. I mean, he ended up in prison where he's honestly prospering because he really doesn't have a choice, because he's really not in control of his own actions anymore. But he's directing plays again, which I think is a pretty telltale sign about what his future's going to be. He opens up to everybody at the wedding about being nervous to enter the real world again because he's not really sure if he can control his actions, but he's going to try his hardest. And he even talks about returning to the jail to continue directing plays there, something that he found out he was really good at Wesleyan. In fact, before everything went down, he was really his best self being a theater professor, so I really feel like he's going to continue down that path. That being said, he also has another option after talking to Princess Caroline, who mentioned that his horny unicorn movie might give him a second chance in Hollywood.
Did you say Hollywood?
Something he didn't even see coming. It looked like he was considering it, but he was still on the fence by the end of it, and rightly so. Going back into show business might actually destroy Bojack for good this time, so I don't even know if that's the best option for him. But I'm glad that the show left him with options. He lost his money, he lost his house, but he'll be fine, surviving off of horny unicorn money and the money he made from separating from horsing around permanently. Which is another thing. Bojack lost his legacy completely. Horsing around completely detached from his image. He has absolutely nothing. Maybe he'll make a new one, or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll learn to live with himself. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe he'll never be relevant again. Maybe he'll find love. Maybe he'll die alone. We as the viewer will never know, and we'll never get to know. The point of the ending is life's a bitch and you keep on living. Bojack hit rock bottom and he's still living. He has to keep going whether he likes it or not. He doesn't have a choice. And even if we won't get to see it, we don't have to. This is what we were meant to get out of Bojack's story, and this is where we were meant to leave him forever. As for Hollywood itself, or Hollywood, whatever it's called now, I can't really imagine the world of Bojack will change much. I think the point is that it really doesn't. They even made a little slick comment towards this when Princess Caroline was talking about how Bojack could completely make a comeback if he wanted to, and how the town usually kinda just forgets. At the end of the day, it's a machine that's constantly going to be moving, and if there's anything that Bojack showed us over 6 seasons, it's a pretty destructive machine. And in the end, it's not about the place, it's about the characters, and how the place changed them. And for Bojack, I don't think our characters are done changing anytime soon, even after the show ends. Well, there you have it, guys. That's what we think is going to happen after Bojack ends. comment. But as always, I want to know what you guys think about all of this. Do you agree? Do you think the characters will go in a different direction? Let us know in those comments down below, or tweet to us our Roundtable vids, or meet us Retro Nemo. If you want to consider helping out the Roundtable, you can support us on Patreon or become a member of the channel and get exclusive access to scripts and avatars. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the Roundtable for more incredible cartoon content. As always, guys, I'm Nemo. This is a Bojack video, and I will see you next time. Peace.